Have you ever noticed that the people who seem to have everything together are often the ones carrying the most? You have the entrepreneur who's always smiling, the business owner who's always positive, the person who's always the first one to help others. But ask them how they are feeling and they usually respond with, "Yeah, I'm fine." But are they? Or have they just been very good carrying all those responsibilities on their own in silence? Today I want to talk about what entrepreneurs really don't discuss, what responsibility actually feels like. Hi, I'm Ali. I'm a husband, father of 3 beautiful children, business owner, and a professional coffee drinker. Welcome to my channel where we discuss business, productivity, mindset, and building a meaningful life. Because success isn't just about the business you build, it's about the life you live and the time you spend with the people that matter most. Today I want to share 5 lessons that I've learned and which honestly I'm still learning about. We'll talk about why we as business owners stay busy instead of calming down, why responsibility keeps feeling heavy as life goes on, and why so many entrepreneurs struggle in silence, why opening up matters, and finally, what I'm trying to do differently. Well, when we look at life and we see that things are going too quickly, I think as business owners, we like to keep more busy. We like to do more hours of work. Because we see that life goes too quickly, we think, well, I want to make more money so I can compensate, so that I can plan more holidays, spend more time with the family. Then you're absent in the day-to-day life. And for me, what that used to be, so when life used to go too quick, I used to work more hours, and my instinct wasn't to slow down, which is the complete opposite what you're supposed to do. So that probably sounds backwards, but it's true. So I don't do this now, but there was a time when I watched my children grow up so quickly that it scared me. Instead of spending more time with them, I was putting in more hours in at work. I just convinced myself that I had to work more. Why? Because I told myself that I was doing it for them, which in essence is true. Of course it is true. We need to provide for them. We need to, put food on the table, go on these lovely holidays, create those special memories. I said to myself that if I work harder now, I'll earn more, we'll go on more holidays, we'll create more special memories. And it sounded logical, which I'm sure with a lot of business owners can relate to. But eventually I realized something, which is silly really, because it's obvious on paper that this is not really the right way of going about it. But when you look at it, when you take a moment and you start reflecting, things start making sense. Children remember the holidays, that's true. They remember the holidays, you take them either once or twice, 3 times a year. But I'll tell you what they really will remember. This will be etched in their memories for life as a child. It's the day-to-day life. But memories isn't just formed on holidays. It's formed at home, in the peace and quiet as well. Children remember when you sat with them while they were colouring. They remember who read them a bedtime story, who played football in the garden, and who was present. And I've realised that I've nearly fell into the trap of sacrificing today's memories in the hope of tomorrow's. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to guilt trip anyone if you necessarily have to work. What I'm referring to is putting in the extra hours when it's not really necessary. Now as business owners, we set the hours ourselves, right? We don't do the traditional 9 to 5. So it's very easy for us to fall trapped and be trapped in those hours because it's our baby, it's our business that we've built, and putting in our opinion, 24 hours is absolutely fine. I don't look at the clock and say to myself, oh, I've got to finish working. So that discipline has to be in place when you're a business owner, especially if you have a family. You need to be able to switch off and then be present in the moment, and don't look at tomorrow's memories but look at today's, what you can build, because a little bit each day what you spend with your family is what they'll remember more than anything. Now I still work hard, don't get me wrong, but I keep telling myself is that the memories that you build is on a daily basis, and it's not these grand gestures, but it's consistency. It's being consistent with your family and knowing that you're always there for them. Sometimes spending 20 minutes of giving your family 20 minutes of undivided attention means more than an expensive holiday. So I used to think that working a couple of hours extra here and there, especially in the evening, would be better. Because productivity wise, if you put in more hours, you're getting more things done. But we're only human beings. There's only so much we can do in a given 24 hours. And what I used to realize is that if I was just to work a standard 8 hours or 7 hours in a day, I would get much more done. If I had enough sleep, if I felt positive, in the right mind frame, that I would get more done than if I was to stay up and do 15 hours, for instance. Because your body starts slowing down. It's not how many hours you put in, It's how you utilize those hours in the day to get things done. That's so much more valuable. And what's important is that tired people don't make good decisions as well. So if you do those long hours at home, you're not having enough sleep, that will have a side effect. You'll feel the repercussions of that the next day at work. The way you are with the team, the way you are delegating tasks. Because let's face it, you will be tired. I think the worst part for business owners is not realizing this and thinking this is acceptable before going to bed to think about your work, your business. Not only is this not good for your mindset, it is completely, dare I say it, useless. You need to be focusing on you before you go to bed. Checking in doesn't mean getting involved in the operation. Doesn't mean start replying to emails, making calls, doing admin tasks. That's the huge difference. That's the difference between a business owner and not a business operator. The business should support your life, not quietly take over it. During your life journey, those responsibilities are piling up, and it's how you handle them that will define how your life will be, how your work life will be, your business will be. When I got married, life changed. When I had my first child, life changed. My second, life changed. My third, life changed. And as that happened, responsibility grew. But then I started a business. Actually, I started before I had kids, but you get the message. But as I started my life, as I went through life's journey, and then my business grew as well. When I started employing people, those responsibilities start piling up as well. And this is now in a different way, because we all can relate that when we get married, we have certain responsibilities. We have a house, we've got a mortgage to pay. When we have children, we've got to look after them, make sure the food's on the table. But for us business owners, our responsibility is on another level, in my opinion. We now have staff that we need to look after. We need to answer their questions in a timely manner, and we need to sort their pay out, right? The staff will not wait around to get paid. So when I started employing people, it was like a different level entirely. Because suddenly, it wasn't just my family depending on me. Now I've got staff relying on me. Now you have families connected to the staff that depend on making sure that we pay them on time. You have people's mortgages, people's bills, people's lives. That's a responsibility that entrepreneurs don't really talk about much. People see the fun things, right? Business owners having flexibility with hours, but they don't see the heavy responsibility that comes with it. Often we're sacrificing our own joy, our own pay to make sure that the business thrives, but not just the business, but that the staff gets looked after. But people don't see it that way. The business owner will carry on smiling as if everything is fine and quietly probably stressing. One of the hardest things for me personally in business was letting people go. So when we have staff that they're not performing well, they're clearly not the right decision for the business. Even then, if I let them go, I feel guilty. Sometimes I've kept people in their position longer than they should have been, only because I didn't want them to lose their job. That's the emotional side of business that no one prepares you for. We have a responsibility towards the business, towards the staff, and putting them sometimes together can be very difficult. I honestly don't know how people do this all alone. For me, speaking to my wife has made a huge difference. Not because she solves every problem, but because saying things out loud to someone often makes things better. Have little conversations every day about it. Have a cut-off time as well. Say, before going to bed, we're not talking about business. During family dinner time, we're not talking about this. But a fixed time, maybe during a cup of coffee with your partner, you can talk. Because otherwise, it's very easy for this stress at work, at business to take over your whole life. Remember, you're here to live it. And work, a business you shouldn't be consumed by it as well. So when you do a little bit each day, you'll see those differences, that weight, that responsibility, the heavy burden slowly evaporate. That's the idea of it anyway. So do not wait for you to nearly burst out for you to be ready to talk. That's not fair, or whoever you talk to. Do it in little bits and make sure that's a two-way thing as well. So as a business owner, you need to be very disciplined in order to not miss out on what life is really about. And I've learned that responsibility doesn't mean you have to do it all alone. You can have a team, you can have your partner, your friends, your family, companies that you can outsource things to. You do not have to have all the heavy burden on your own shoulders. And remember, the investment isn't always just in the business. We want to pour money into it, pour our resources, our time into the business. But the real investment is those simple moments when you're just on the floor with your children playing a board game, having dinner without checking your phone, having a good night's sleep without being disturbed by any out-of-hours calls, taking your partner for a coffee or breakfast, or just being present Because at the end of the day, the business is there to support your life. Your life was never meant to support your business. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really love to hear your comments. If you enjoyed it, give a thumbs up. I would do appreciate a subscribe as well. And I will be posting regular videos every Thursday at 7 p.m. And remember, success isn't just about the business you build. It's about the life you live and the time you spend with the people who matter most. Don't forget that.